The AFC South is going to be absolutely insane in 2025. The Houston Texans are the defending AFC South champions. However, we have number 1 overall pick Cam Ward in Tennessee, Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars looking to bounce back, and who is going to be the quarterback in Indianapolis? James, what is going to be the X factor in the AFC South in 2025?
We make fun of Justin Herbert for the Chargers, but I have to lay it on Trevor Lawrence's arm this year. There's no more excuses. Yes, he is switching from coach to coach to coach to coach. But, man, if you've been called sunshine, the generational one, all this, all that, dude, you got to figure it out. And, of course, you do have decent weapons around. You got Brian Thomas on the outside. You got Travis Hunter, who's going to play both sides. You just signed on the defense Josh Hines-Allen. So I think the Jacksonville Jaguars have the perfect recipe to become the second best team in this division, because we can be honest. Colts ain't got no quarterbacks. And with the Titans, man, we like Cam Ward. I do think they will be a sneaky fight, Spence, because I know you're a fan of what they've added on the weapons of Tennessee. But deep down, I think this has to just come down to Trevor Lawrence's arm, because there's no way you were this close to beating the Chiefs in that divisional round, and then now being 8-3, losing out, and then now just not looking like the guy who's panned out as the number 1 guy. So in my eye, it's going to be Trevor Lawrence's arm, and I guess we'll throw a little play calling on the side. But I think the Jaguars have a great chance, in my eye, Spence, to go 9-8.
Okay. Jiselle, do you think this is the Texans' division to lose, or are you like James and you think the Jaguars can take a step forward and really compete in the AFC South?
I think that the Texans have the ability to win the AFC South division. The only thing that's a little bit tricky is, like James prefaced, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's the fact that they now have Travis Hunter in their arsenal. They said that they're going to allow him to play both positions, so we'll see how that will play out in the first couple games of this season. But ultimately, I'm going to go for the Texans. I just pray and hope that our key stud players stay healthy. With that headline that broke through earlier today with CJ Gardner, I'm very, very stressed nonetheless. So
there were some conflicting reports there on the timeline, but he did, in fact, not tear his ACL. We have confirmed that now, so hopefully he gets healthy again.
Hopefully. Only time will tell, but that would be the biggest issue for the Texans, is if a lot of our star players get injured like we faced last season.
Yeah, me and Jiselle, we are diehard Houston fans, and that is what we endured all last year, was watching our guys just go down all year long. This is what I'll say. Go ahead, James.
I was going to say, Spence, I'm throwing it up to you. Do you think this Houston Texans offensive line would be the reason why the Texans wouldn't win this division again?
The Houston Texans are doing a science experiment in 2025. I'm not excited about this science experiment because it is potentially jeopardizing our franchise quarterback. But the science experiment is this: what is more important in assembling an offensive line, scheme or talent? Because the scheme last year was absolutely atrocious. Talent was a bit mid, but this year the Texans have overhauled that offensive line and the talent has depleted. There's not a stud offensive lineman on that group, but they have a new offensive coordinator. And if you look at all the transactions and all the moves the Texans have made in the offseason, it is clear to me that they are pinning all of the offensive struggles in 2024 on Bobby Slowick, who was fired.
Yeah.
D'Amico Ryans and him are super close. D'Amico Ryans gained a lot of respect in the locker room by putting his personal feelings aside and making the move to fire Bobby Slowick after 2 seasons, one of which was a very successful rookie season for CJ Stroud. So we're going to find out one way or another. I hope CJ can make it through, and I'm hoping that the scheme does, in fact, matter more than the talent, and that the Texans offensive line can take a step forward from the unit we saw last year. Because here's the deal. If that happens, with how great this Texans defense is, with a franchise quarterback in CJ Stroud, who we know is battle-tested, he's got a couple of playoff victories under his belt, this is a team that should be contending not just to win the AFC South, but to win the whole AFC. They should be in that conversation if that offensive line takes a step forward. I'm picking the Texans to win this division. James, who you got?
Give me The Texans 1, give me Jaguars 2. I'm gonna go with the Titans 3 at 6-11, and give me the Colts at last place at 5-12.
Giselle, what about you? How you got this division shaken out?
Honestly, very similar to the both of you guys. So I'm going to have, in a perfect world, Texans number 1, winning back-to-back AFC South divisions. Coming in second, going to be Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 3, I'm going to have the Tennessee Titans with Cam Ward stepping in to that QB1 position. I'm really excited to see how that's going to prevail, but not everyone is like CJ Stroud or Jaden McDaniels, okay? Like, not everyone's going to have a standout star-studded rookie year. So only time will tell. And of course, the Colts are going to be dead last because Anthony Richardson, again, is having some pinky dislocation issues. And I just feel like I really like him, but he has been riddled with injuries since he has joined the league.
Yep. Can't stay healthy. Yeah, we're all going to go 3 for 3 here. I'm also going to take the Texans. I think the Colts do finish last place because whether it's Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones, I just don't think there's enough offensive firepower outside of Jonathan Taylor to really carry an offense that's going to be respectable this year. I like some of their defensive pieces, and I think that could be an underrated defensive unit the Colts have there, but they're going to be terrible. I'm not a big Cam Ward guy, but I do think there's some hype there that being the first overall pick, he could come out and surprise people, but even him himself has said in training camp that this is a mid team. They're mediocre at best right now. So I don't think either of those teams are going to be realistically in the conversation for the AFC playoff hunt. But I do think that this division is going to give you 2 playoff teams. I do think the Texans are going to win the division. Hopefully this year the Texans can actually secure the 2nd or the 3rd seed so they can potentially have a home game in the 2nd round to finally get over the hump and make their first AFC championship. And then I also think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to get in as a wild card team. And I do think they could end up being a pretty highly seeded wild card team. You know, James, I know you said 9-8. I would put them potentially at 10-7, just because I think Trevor Lawrence, there's some weapons there that I like a lot. You mentioned Travis Hunter. I'll give y'all a fantasy sleeper that I've had my eye on since last year. They made the move to cut Evan Engram, and they let him walk because they believe in tight end Brenton Strange. Brenton Strange. We getting strange up in here, y'all. And he is going to be, y'all mark my words. I know Travis Hunter is there, but him playing both sides of the ball, I don't think he realistically is going to play a ton of snaps. I believe Brenton Strange will be the 2nd most targeted player for the Jaguars in 2025. And I think he's a talented player. He's got a connection with Trevor Lawrence. And I think that Jaguars defense has got some players on it. They're going to sneak in the playoffs as a wild card team in 2025. But y'all let us know in the comments who's winning the AFC South in 2025.
Duval.